Me gusta!
Hello and welcome back to another video. It's been a while, but I'm back now, and today I'm showing you, as part of this episode of Minecraft Wonder Guide, how to create your own custom creative tab in Minecraft. So that's one of the tabs that are in the creative inventory when you're in creative mode. I'll be showing you how to make that, and then I'll be showing you how to add like such items and blocks to it. So first you need to set up your basic class, so your mod class, which has the @mod and @netmod annotations, as well as the solid proxy ones, and the event handler above your main kind of public void load constructor where you would register everything and stuff. So once you got that, we can start making this mod, and the first thing we need to do is declare our creative tab. So to declare our creative tab, we just declare it here in the main body of the class, and what we write is public static final, and then the type of variable we're creating is one that extends off creative tabs. So that's the file that all creative tabs that exist in the game uses the type of variable, and then press space, type what we call the variable, we just call it new tab 1 equals, and then we put new creative tabs again, so the same class that we put over here, 2 brackets, and now the one parameter that goes inside of these brackets is the localized name. So we put 2 speech marks and we type a localized name, so I'll just call this cookies and cake, which will make sense later on, and then slime with a semicolon. So that's our creative tab variable declared, ready for us to give it icon and then add stuff to. So now that we have this declared, we want to give it obviously an icon, and how we give it an icon, so the visible logo that you see in the creative tabs menu, how we give it that is we return an item stack of its item, and what it does, it grabs the texture from that item and says, okay, that's going to be the logo for this creative tab, and I'll show you later how to get around that if you want your own custom logo. So to do this, you need to get where you've declared your creative tab, and you actually take away the semicolon after it, and instead put 2 curly brackets, and open and close one directly after it, and after the closing bracket put a semicolon there. So what this does is basically anything we put inside of these curly brackets, or methods or return statements, whatever we put in here, will be added to only this item here, or this variable even, which is our creative tab, and this will become useful later on. Now what we need to put inside these brackets is a return method, and it's public item stack get icon item stack, and you put 2 brackets with nothing inside of them, and again give those curly brackets. Now what this is a method where we need to return an item stack of the item whose texture we want to use as our logo for our creative tab. So obviously, because it's an item stack return method, we need to click return new item stack bracket, and now there's 3 parameters that are included in this new item stack thing. The first is the actual item. So let's say we want this to have a logo of an apple. We put item dot and then find our apple red. So it's just going into the items class and finding the red apple. Then we have to end that with dot item ID. So it doesn't actually say get the texture from the apple red. It says get a texture from an ID which is the same as the apple red. Therefore, getting a texture for the red apple. And then after that, you put a comma, and you say how many apples. You put 1, because it obviously won't affect it, but these are like this. You have to have these next to, but they don't actually affect the actual creative tab logo. And the third one's damage value, which we put as 0. So that's how you give this a logo of red apple. Now why it's return new item stack and it's got like amount and damage value? Well, the amount you also have to keep as 1, but why does the damage value? If you wanted to have a dye, it's like a red dye or a bone meal or something, we would have this as item.dye powder, and then change the damage value to according to what you want. So I'm not going to teach you to do that now, but search around and you understand that if you do. So that's our custom creative tab with its texture completely done. So now I'm going to explain why we do these 2 bracket things after logo. The reason why is so we can have multiple creative tabs declared in our mod file without having to have separate files. So what we would do is just copy this, leave a few lines and paste it, and then what we could do is you can change that. So we could say this is new tab 2 and call this desert things, I don't know what, anything like that, and then we can get the brackets there and change the item stack logo to whatever, and it will only affect our second creative tab and not our first creative tab. So we could change this to Oh, again, you don't have to have items, you can have blocks. So I could have like block dot, I don't know, sand. And then obviously because it's a block, you'd end it with dot block ID. Now that's pretty much our creative tab, or creative tabs in this case, completely finished. But the only problem is that when we try to load it, and you hover over a creative tab, it gives it a name such as miscellaneous or something. This won't actually give our creative tabs the name of cookies and cake or desert things. It'll give it a weird localized name. I think it's item group dot and our name here, which obviously don't want. We want our custom name. So the next method that we do, or next method even that we do, will fix this error. So we put this method inside the public void load constructor, and what it is it's language registry, because obviously it's changing a language related thing. And what we do is put .instance first. Now what this does is allows us to grab the instance from language registry to allow us to use all of its methods. So we do that first, then after that we put dot, and now we can use all its methods. And the one we choose is .add string localization with a Z, which is American and incorrect in England. Anyway, you have that, and then you have the brackets. Now the first thing is what's the string that we want to change, and that's obviously our localized name of our creative tab. So if you take, for example, our first one, which is cookies and cake, what would actually say in the game would be item group with a capital lowercase I and capital G dot, and then the name of our kind of localized name with all the spaces included, so cookies and cake. So we have to put that, so item group dot, and then you're localizing it up here as the first thing, which is a string. Then you put a comma, and then you put 2 more speech marks, and this is going to be the actual name we want to be visible in the game. And I want it to be called, it doesn't have to be cookies and cake, I want it to be called cake and biscuits, yeah. So we put that inside the second set of speech marks, and then that line with a semicolon. So what's it's done, it's gotten this name, which is what's generated for our creative tab, and it's replaced it with the name we actually want for our creative tab. So all I've just done here is copied that line, and I've replaced the first bit, the bit we want to change, from item group cookies and cake to item group desert things, which was my second creative tab's localized name, and I've changed the second pair of speech marks to what I want it to be called, which I will call it sand and cacti. So how would you get a custom texture for your creative tab? Now the only way you can do this is actually creating an item. So you have to create a new item or create a new block, and give that item or block your texture that you want to have for your creative tab. That's the only way you can work around it, really. You could like make it invisible in a sense by not adding it to creating any creative tabs, or you can make the item null, so not null as in like it doesn't exist, because then obviously the texture won't work, but null as in the item does absolutely nothing in game. So that's the only real way you can get around this issue. Now all this code that we've just done now is the only code you'll need to create your creative tab, or in our case 2 creative tabs. So that's pretty much the declaring the variable, the getting the texture from an item or block, and giving it a proper name. This next bit is about how to add stuff to the texture, to the creative tab. Now obviously you would use that .select creative tab in your item or block to add custom items and custom blocks to this, but I'm going to show you how to add existing items and blocks to your creative tab. So first I'm going to be adding some items. I'm going to be adding a cookie to the first one, and a I don't know, some green dye to the second one. So first I'm going to do the cookie, and I'm going to add it to new tab 1. So what we put in the public void load constructor is our item or block we want to add. In this case, items, we put item dot cookie, and after that we put dot and then set creative tab. And then in this parameter here, we need to put the name of our variable, which is our creative tab, which is for us this new tab 1, and outline with semicolon. Now what this does, it doesn't override the cookie's creative tab. So the cookie will still appear in the food creative tab, but now it will also appear in our new tab 1 creative tab. Now I'm going to add a block to this creative tab, and I'm going to add, I don't know, cake, because it's cookies and cake. So I'll put underneath that line there block, because obviously it's a block. We need to get from the block class our cake, block.cake, and then again the same method, .select creative tab, and again the parameter here we put as our new tab 1, and then the line with a semicolon. And again, that doesn't override a creative tab, it just adds another creative tab location for our cake. Now I've just done the same, but I've done it for a block of cactus, and added that to new tab 2, and the same for a block of sand, added that to new tab 2. I haven't worked out how to add dyes, such as like green dye, Bowman and stuff, but hopefully I'll work it out in the near future and then inform you about that. So now I've come into Minecraft, and instantly in the creative mode, and instantly in the creative inventory, you can see there's a complete massive difference, and that is it says 1 out of 2 at the top, and there's 2 arrows. So what our creative tab's done is it's added it, and then the game's automatically figured out that it can't fit it on here, so it's created a page for us, which is really handy, so you don't have to do it yourself. So obviously you can't be seen here. If you go on to the next page, we can see we've got our two creative tabs. We've got our first one, which is cake and biscuits, and it's got the red apples logo. If we go into that, we've got our cake and our biscuit cookie even added into that, and the name here of our creative tab. And the same time for our second one, our sand and cacti one, which had a logo of a block of sand, and again as our sand and our cactus in, because we added that in. So yeah, that shows the mod works, and hopefully this will be helpful in the near future in creating big mods with loads of creative tabs. So yeah, thanks for watching the class with the how to create a creative tab, as well as how to add existing items and blocks to your creative tab. The link to that class, or that Java file even, will be in the description. The add file link, you click it, wait 5 seconds, click skip ad, and download it from Mediafire. And this has been quite longer than I expected, this episode has, but I have explained, hopefully I've explained it sufficiently enough for you to understand. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys next video.